Hey, what's going on? What's popping and craculating on this Sunday afternoon? You're here in the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast live stream. We appreciate the people that are in here. We really thank you. I know it's Super Bowl Sunday. I got y'all wings ready and all that good stuff, but I'm glad you are here. If you are in the building, please go ahead and share the broadcast out. I'm going to give you a few seconds to do so. Bear with me a sec. All right, and the Kevin's favorite part of the show, he ain't even here, but here we go. All righty, we back. We hot up in this piece.
Yes, sir.
Glad you guys are here, man. I'm glad you guys are here. I appreciate you. So, in the absence of Ephraim and Kevin, today you are with me and D Good on the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast live stream. Thank you, guys. I want to give a couple of shout outs real quick. Kevin's son Matthew's birthday passed, I think it was Thursday or Friday, and that's the reason why he's not here today, because he's celebrating his birthday with his son. So I want to say shout out to Matthew. He was on the show last week. So happy birthday, young king, man. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. And we're going to support you all the way through. And also shout out to Ephraim, who's not here as well. Now, boy, what was that? It scared me a little bit.
My finger clap.
Oh, is that what that was? Oh, okay. All right. So a few announcements before we get started here. I'm going to throw my comments up here. I'm not sure if everybody's commented yet. But there we go. Put those up. So if you're in the building, make sure that you comment in the comment section below. I'm going to cut my phone on here just so, yeah, because the comment's not showing. Hey, baby. Lonnie's in the building. What's going on? Shut up, Steve. What's going on with you? All right. So a few things here. If you want to follow the podcast and you want to be a subscriber or a patron to the podcast, you can at patreon.com/KCP podcast 2021, where you get a lot of the behind the scenes exclusive stuff, the tomfoolery that happens behind, and when the camera goes off, y'all have no idea what we do when it goes off here. Also, you can get your official Knucklehead Chronicles podcast merch at teespring.com/stores/KCP podcast. So make sure you can check that out. I got some stuff coming from myself because it's my stuff. All right. Also, you can follow the website, knuckleheadchroniclespodcast.com. You can go to that website, knuckleheadchroniclespodcast.com. You can catch all the past episodes, past guests, all that good stuff. So make sure you join. Those of you that are in here right now, please share the broadcast out, because we want to get a lot of the Anson County folks. So if you're watching this and you're from my home county, my home city, make sure you share this out, okay? Because
North Carolina,
one of our very own is in the building. All right, and so also the call-in line will be hot. So if you want to talk to the author, today. You can call in line at 657-390-2503. You can call us up and hit up and talk to Miss V, because she's got a story to tell, and we're going to get into that in just a second. Also, you guys can follow the podcast too. If you don't catch us, if you ever miss us on Sundays and you still want to hear the podcast, you can still hear us. Download the you can download the Live 365 app, and you can do a search for soundmachine.fm. We go live on that particular platform on Tuesdays at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay, Eastern Standard Time. So now, thank you, Steve. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for sharing. Make sure you share it out. If you did share it, please put you share it in the broadcast. I really appreciate you. Also, if you're in here live, hit hashtag live. And also, if you don't catch us live, you want to catch us on the replay, hit hashtag replay. All right. So, Dwayne, if you want to, man, we're gonna go ahead and get into it. I want to introduce the guest of the guest of the hour, or half hour, or 45 minutes, or how we want to do it today. But I want to introduce her real quick. Just a little bit of background. Miss Bennett, me and her have been friends for, oh my God, I can't even count how many years we've been friends. I mean, since high school, we've been friends. And she has been a true soldier in her life, and she's done things. What's up, E Trouble over there on Periscope, man? Appreciate you, brother. Sharing is caring, like AD always say. Sharing is caring. And she is an absolutely amazing woman and mother. And we're going to give her a shout and talk to her real quick. Let me get her on board here. Welcome, Miss Vee Bennett. That sounds like somebody's belt has gone bad on their car.
Don't judge me. Shout out to Miss E.
Pretty old. There we go. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And so Melissa is throwing up an old joke in the comments. I'm gonna go ahead and block her real quick because I don't know what's going on. As you said, I love you. All right, so we are going to talk to Miss V, and we're going to introduce her because she has written a book called Still Here, H-E-A-R, not here. You know how some of us we struggle, with those words, but it's here, H-E-A-R. So if you have not gotten your copy yet, I need for you guys to go ahead. Let me pull the record. I'm sorry. I'll go ahead and pull up. Go to Amazon.com and click the book section. Do a search for Still Here, and you're going to see that pretty picture right there on the back right here.
And if you like me, and sometimes you're a little on the go and the hard copy just ain't your thing, they got the ebook version right here. Just so you see that this is not a picture. You got to support your fellow. Hold on, am I going the right way?
No, you went the wrong way. Yeah.
Okay. You got to support. So, okay, now it's making me feel bad.
It's okay.
There we go. See, there we go. You got to support what you believe in.
Oh, so yeah, I wish I could see. Okay, yeah.
Just a shout out my boy Terry and Miss V.
Yeah.
Because it's Super Bowl Sunday.
Yeah.
And this is a lesson for all of you authors out there, whatever your creative space is. This is a lesson for you. Yeah. Terry was like, "Hey guys, Super Bowl Sunday. I know you want to hang out, but I'm giving you guys a day off if you want it." And I said, "No, we got an offer on. You got to support your fellow." So if you want to be a writer, you got to invest in some other people's stuff every now and then. You got to let your iron be sharpened. So yeah, I had to be here because she's always giving great content on the Brothers of Legacy all the time. So absolute much love, sis.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
She cheered. So I'm not.
Where did they go?
I don't know. He'll be back in a minute. Okay. So Miss V, tell the people about yourself. Before we get into the book here, tell us about you. Here's a little bit of backdrop. What's going on? Okay.
Well, as Terry has said, that we're from the same hometown, been knowing each other for years. I'm a mother of a 16-year-old daughter. Mm-hmm. I am always learning. I am a documentation specialist. My 9 to 5 is a documentation specialist. I love to read, and if something is laid on my heart, if I have a testimony, I need for people to hear it. So I put that on paper.
And I will say this before we get started, Dwayne, is that those of you guys that know me know I am not a reader. Richard says, "Hey, I am
Hi,
not a
Richard.
reader." However, because Vee sent me a copy of her book, and it came like I was supposed to get it Friday, and I actually got it a day before. I said, "Okay, God, I hear you," because the guy was like, "You need a head start, bro." So I got it on Thursday, started reading it, and I could not put it down. Even though my life is hectic though, so like it's like put it down, pick it up, pick it up, put it down, pick it up. But I got it. But see, here's the beauty of between the books you guys are going to get and the book that I got is that y'all probably can't see that, but yeah, see, mine is autographed. Mine is autographed. See that?
Oh, you special, huh?
I got the autograph. Yeah, special. You ain't know that?
Special.
That was special.
You want a cookie? You want a cookie?
Yeah,
Now?
special, brother. No, I want some crackers though. I want a cracker, brother. All right, so let's get into it. So, Miss V, you wrote this book, Still Here.
Yes.
My first question to you, because this is your second book, okay?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kerlinda, what's going on Periscope? I appreciate you coming through. Those of you who are listening on podcast and on Live 365, this is a live stream on Facebook. So I'm going to be reading comments. So if you get lost in translation, I'll try to do better and tell the name and then reading the comment, okay? So you wrote this book. Now, did this book and I Cut My Hair, your first book, were they in correlation, like a part two, or were they separate? It's kind of a hard question to ask. Like you wrote I Cut My Hair,
Mm-hmm.
and then you had the motivation to write Still Here.
Yes.
Was it purpose? Was it on purpose? Like, was it a part two of I Cut My Hair, or is this a whole separate?
No, this is separate. I went through some things, and I had a big old testimony that I needed for people to hear. So that's the reason why I wrote this book.
Well, I tell you what, we're gonna get into some of that because like I was telling Dwayne before, I was telling B before we went live, is that I'm not gonna tell the whole book. If I tell the whole book, nobody will buy that joint. But I had another question because I remember in chapter 1, you was going through some things, and there was an event that happened that you were talking about where you did everything that you was doing because you had the fear of lacking.
Yes.
Before that happened, was there an event that happened that made you put that level of stress on you to where, okay, now I gotta go get it. I gotta go get it. Was there something in particular that happened, or is it just the fact that you were a single mother?
The fact that I was a single mother. It's not just me. It's I have to take care of my child. I got to take care of my household.
Yeah.
And I gotta do what I need to not to be on the street. Even if I have to ask for help. I know sometimes we don't want to ask for help from anybody.
Right. Yeah. So I'm gonna get Dwayne time. I know Dwayne got some questions. So Dwayne, if you got one, go ahead and shoot off.
Yeah,
ask the question.
I know with me, my writing process, I write my life because I feel like my life brings some experience that might help somebody else out in life. And everything that I start to write or attempt to write, it starts with the theme first, and then I backfill the theme. Now, I love the title, Still Here. Still represents remaining. And here, you got that double entendre going there. Most people are seeing H-E-R-E. You're saying H-E-A-R. So it's like, I'm still here, but I'm still hearing too, God. So what was the process for you to come up with this title, and how important was that in your life at the time?
Good question. I like it.
What I was doing, I was going out here and I was hustling. And when you ask God for something, you don't want to just sit back and just want him to just drop it in your lap. So I guess I felt like that I was doing too much till I had an incident happen, and that just woke me up And that's when I was like, I need to be still and hear God, which is how the title came about. I needed to shorten it because I was trying to design my cover for the book. I knew what I wanted it to look like, but I also wanted it to be short and impactful. So that's how I came up with Still Here.
So a lot of people are going to resonate with that, right? Because I can remember like moments in my life. Like today I had one. I take my daughters for a walk every day, right? When the weather's not too bad. And as I'm taking my daughters for a walk today, my daughter looks up and she's like, Daddy, she was like, the sun's not out. It's not raining, but trees growing. And it was one of those moments, it sounds kitty, but it was one of those moments where I was like, wow, as I'm taking my daughters for a wagon walk, my daughters are recognizing things that I see every day and don't realize. And just hearing her said that, it literally spoke to my spirit. So where were you in life? Is there something specifically that pushed you into that? Yeah, I know all this, I'm praying, but was there one moment that got your attention more than another that made you say, God, I'm still hearing you?
Okay, I was doing Lyft one morning, and I don't know if anybody else have done ride sharing before. And whenever you have a rider with you, get ready to drop them off, sometimes they'll put other rides in your queue. So that's what was happening. My plan was to go home. I had a taste for an omelet. I said, I can't wait to get home. I'm going to make myself an omelet, me and my daughter an omelet. But
that sounds good.
Yes.
Even now, that sounds good.
Yeah. So I had my mouth ready for it. But then there was something, another ride put into my queue. And something said, don't accept it. And I went to do that, and I went to cancel it, but it didn't cancel. So to make a long story short, I had an accident with the family in my car. I hit the median, the sign that's in the median. So I hit that. What it was, the sign, the sun, there was a rain the night before. So, after a rain, the sun is really bright. And the sun was bright for all of us in the car. And we're trying to adjust the visors and everything. So apparently, well, not apparently, but it did. My car shifted to the left, drifted to the left. And I ended up hitting that sign in the median. And the sign came up on my side. It could have came through the windshield, but it didn't. It came up over the windshield and to the side of the car, but then went off the back of it. And that's that metal sign.
Come on, testify.
So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me get somewhere and sit down because I'm doing entirely too much. First of all, I didn't even ask God if I needed to do Lyft, all of these things. So that's the first thing that I didn't do. Because whenever you do anything, you should have a conversation with him and get that confirmation.
Come on.
See right there. That's the flying the soup of a lot of people. They don't want to ask nothing. They just want to do it.
Right.
My mom always used to tell me when as a kid, she would always say, baby, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plan. And I was like, okay. So it was one of the things I took throughout my life. I didn't always live by it, but I always took it with me. So Pastor Brian McCord is in the building. How you doing there, good sir? Also, that word this morning hit like a ton of bricks on Solomon's Temple. So if y'all didn't catch it, go on back down there with Solomon's Temple on Facebook. You can catch that replay. He said, talk to God first. And he
better to ask permission than it is to ask for forgiveness.
Absolutely.
I see a question from Ephraim.
Yeah, Ephraim, he asked a question, but I think you answered it right because it was part of Dwayne's question. Because the question was, how do you want people to feel after they read your book? That was the question. I think you answered that right away. So let me ask you this, and this is kind of going back. This is in chapter 1.
Hey,
I want to
Pastor.
pray and eat an omelet. Ephraim said, all of a sudden I want to pray and eat an omelet.
In that order. In that order.
Father, in the name of Jesus,
Got the
Yes,
blessing.
God,
this
I'm
cheesy
telling
omelet
you.
with the eggs is going to taste real good right now. Thank you for your blessings, Lord. All
Hey,
right,
Pastor.
so so let me ask you a question about ride sharing. I know it goes back to chapter 1, but you said if you put safeguards in place, because in the book you said you would never after your accident that you just talked about that you will never do another ride share again.
Nope, I will not.
If you put in safeguards like pepper spray, plexiglass in the window or whatever, would you go back to ride sharing at all?
No, and this is another thing. It's just so I never told my cousin what happened.
Okay.
Happened to get into I think it was call or text me, and he said, "Well, how's ride sharing going?" And I said, "Okay, well, let me tell him what happened."
Hmm.
And then first thing he said, "Well, that could have been God telling you not to have those different people in your car."
Right.
So not long after he said that, that's when I started hearing those reports on the news about the trafficking, because somebody could have got in my car and had the address typed in and took me somewhere
Hmm.
where that was technically not their destination, but trying to be my destination. I'm trying to get back home to my child.
What's up, Abs? I see you. Okay. All right. So you again, and I'm paraphrasing because I read the book and I don't want to give the book away.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a part when you was in need of help but would not ask for help
Mm-hmm.
because of the pride that we all delve in as humans, right?
Right.
Was there an event I guess my question is, when did you stop trusting folk before that?
This has been years ago, and
Is
that's
that
why, yeah, just years ago. I know my mom was a very strong person. My grandma was a very strong person when they didn't want to ask for anything.
right?
Uh, but they would ask, maybe people who are very, very close to them.
Right.
So that's where some of that came from. But then, like I said, in the past, there are times where I have asked people, people first thing they say, well, you just call me whenever you need something. And
Mm-hmm.
then you call them when you really need something and they don't come through for you. So it makes you feel some type of way. You're like, okay, well, I needed you. But then at the same time, you have to look at yourself. Okay, are you being selfish? Because they could be going through something at that time where they can't help you just at that particular time.
Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, listen to me, y'all, real quick, and I'm gonna plug it again. If you are a reader, I need for you right now, go to Amazon, go to the book section, type in "Still Here" HEAR. Either get the Amazon Kindle, the Amazon Kindle, the ebook, or download the hard copy. This story is absolutely amazing. Like I said, I'm not gonna read a lot of her excerpts from this book because if I just read everything, you guys will buy the book. But there is an analogy that you used that pretty much sums up what a lot of people are going through right now. And if I can find it, I am going to read it. Let me see. Where is it? It was the story of Rocky.
Yes.
The analogy with Rocky and how he went through his stuff and he was fighting in the memory of Apollo and when he was fighting Ivan Drago, and how at the end of the fighting he took a severe beating, but at the end of it he was victorious. And you made the analogy, you made the connection between how we as people we are in the fight and we're taking left hooks and uppercuts, but some of us throw in the towel right in the middle, right before we're victorious a lot of times. And you made a great connection with that. What made you come up with that particular analogy? How did you come up with that one?
Well, I love Rocky.
Right.
I
That I
love
didn't
Rocky.
know.
I can tell she a fight. Look, you can't tell by the comments Vee a fighter. Look, you should know with your your quote of 2020. Try Jesus. Don't try me.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I love Rocky. I was just finding something to explain wars versus battles, and Rocky came to mind.
That was one heck of a. Balboa was always king. Pastor Brian says it was a great. Which Rocky? Ephraim says which Rocky you like the best?
Oh gosh, 5, because they had that street fight. He had to put.
Look, V, I'm with you. My favorite line in that whole movie. All right, you knock him down. Would you try knocking me down now?
Right. Sometimes you got to show these youngsters,
Now, Richard says Richard Fay says a wise person knows when to ask for help from anyone who can help. A fool doesn't ask for help when they know they need it.
I think a good question, a follow-up to one of her comments, Pastor Brian, I think you missed his statement. He said, Pastor Brian McCory said, timing is key. It sounds more about trusting God as opposed to not trusting man. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. It absolutely is.
Yeah. I'll tell you what.
Let you down.
And on that, and going through things and getting hit with left and right punches and all that good stuff. You, in chapter 2, when you was going through when your car got repoed. Hey, first mama, what's going on with you? When your car got repoed and you was going through that and how God and in a course of looks like 14 days,
not even
God took it from dire to I don't know what I'm going to do to total victory in that short amount of time. Listen, y'all, I'm telling y'all need to go and to get this book. I can't even imagine. Now, the last car I remember you having was the Charger. Was that the car?
It was. Yeah.
Oh man, I love that car.
Yeah, I enjoyed it because people thought I was the police. So if I'm driving down the highway and if I'm coming off an exit, I remember this. I was coming off of the exit and this I think it was a lady driving. She flashed her lights so that I can get over because she thought I was the police.
Yeah.
So people were getting out of the way.
See, back in the day, that used to be the old Crown Vic or the Grand Marquis. You see a Crown Vic or a Grand Marquis to the tail light, you slow down and move over to the right real quick.
Right.
You better. All right. So, all right, you guys, make sure you download the Live 365 app and do a search for the soundmachine.fm to catch us on Tuesdays at 5 o'clock if you don't catch us live. One of the things and one of the resounding messages that you repeat in this book is about how to just stand still, like you said, and how God showed up and showed out in your life. And this is a testimony that you're trying to tell. I'm reminded of one of the verses in the Bible, and it's Psalm 34:7, when it says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you desires and the petitions of your heart. Because once we decided we want to reposition, because in one of the chapters, you said that you was waiting for revival. And revival came, and you went, and I told you I read the book. See, and you went and you rededicated your life. And as soon as you did that, hell broke loose. But God said, "No, watch this," and He did, and He turned it around from that to this. John P. Key has a song called "Turn It Around." I was just listening to that one day on the way to work. I personally want to tell you how much I admire your strength for that, because a lot of folk would have just said, oh, I'm done with it. In chapter 3, some of you guys can't see that. I don't have no notes here. But look at the title of chapter 3. Chapter 3 says, purpose in the pain. You got to find that purpose in your pain. One of the brothers that used to run with us, Travell C.W. Lynch, shout out to him. He used to say, make your pain pay. Make your pain pay. So instead of taking your pain and wallowing in it, make sure that you make that pain say, oh no, I'm not going to sit here and just hurt. I am going to do something with it. I'm not just going to sit here and hurt. See, a lot of times we just sit and we just, if you could give anyone any advice that came to you and said, V, I'm just stuck in a place, I don't know what else to do. I done trusted God. I done did all this. When they came to you, what would be the first piece of advice you would give them?
Talk to God. People think, I'm not going to put everybody in the same category, but some people think that you have to get down on your knees to talk to God. You just like how we're sitting up here having a conversation. That's how you talk to him. That's how he wants you to talk to him. You ain't got to be doing all this you know how they, some
Yeah.
folks do it in the pulpit. You ain't got to do all of that. To have a conversation, and it's heartfelt. It's coming from the heart. It's not like you're sitting up here trying to look for words to say that are quote unquote prophetic or proper. You know what I mean? Just talk to him, and he already knows what you're going to say, but he wants to have that relationship with you. And then leave it alone. He already heard you, but if there's something else that you feel like you need to get off of your chest, just talk to him and just make it consistent. Don't just whenever you're getting to something and then you just talk to him that one time, but talk to him all throughout the day. Talk to him every day. Just whenever, if you're riding in your car, just talk to him. That's all you have. That's like your spouse, your boyfriend, girlfriend, your child. Have a conversation and have that relationship with them. It's really that simple.
Right. Because
hey, Guru, she trying to make the preacher come out. She trying to pull the preacher out of me.
Well, you know how we do it.
There, because look, brother, when she started talking about that, look, just be real with God.
Man, come on now.
Look, I've come to the conclusion that real and fake is this. Whoever God purposed you to be, that's the real you. And when you operating in anything other than that, you being fake.
That's right.
Here's the beautiful thing. What you just said is the difference between somebody looking at God as creator versus somebody looking at God as Abba Father. See, that relationship you're talking about, that's that father relationship. I have to pay one of my daughters to babysit while I'm doing broadcasts. Why? Because my daughter understands that I'm her father and there's no boundaries for her. She'll open this door and jump in my lap right now, regardless of if there was 50,000 people live. She wouldn't care because I'm daddy. And the relationship you just described is so important because that's what God expects out of his children.
That's right.
Only people who don't realize that they're not children knock on the door. Hello, Mr. Jehovah, can I come in and sit down on your couch and make some requests from you? No, you just go to daddy's room, lay in his arms and tell him what you want.
That's exactly right.
When you say that, I'm reminded of a song my mom used to play when I was a kid. We used to sing it in church all the time. And it goes a little something like this. Jesus on the main line.
Tell them what you want.
I'm trying to tell you, that was my jam right there. But speaking of relationship, real quick, I gotta pay the bills off because I don't pay the bills, they get mad at me. Hold tight. Hey, this your boy Terry from the Knucklehead Chronicles podcast. Make sure you join the crew and me, Kevin Peoples, Ephraim Terrell, Dwayne Goodson, as we chop it up every single week with different topics. Listen, you can catch us the soundmachine.fm app on Live 365, or you can catch us live on Facebook every single Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Listen, you don't want to miss the show. It's quite awesome. And plus, I'm a pretty good host too. So enjoy the show. All righty, and we're back out here. All right, and so again, if you want to talk to Miss V, have any questions for her, the phone line, the call-in line is on fire. Well, actually, it's kind of cool right now.
On the main line.
657. I'm trying to tell you, this is the main line is right here. Not Jesus is the main line, my main line. 657-390-2503. If you want to give V a shout and ask us any questions about her story. One of the things that I got highlighted in your book that I kind of love when you said, when you're going through your pain, understand the purpose in it. We just talking about pain and your purpose in your pain. You don't want to go through it again. Now, the reason why that stuck out to me was because I was that guy I was that guy. I went through. I would go and learn the same lesson 25 times before I caught it.
Mhm.
And I never. It took me a minute, to finally get it. And was that a defining moment when the light bulb finally came on? It's like, you know what, I'm done. Okay, God, I hear you. Here we are.
Mhm.
What was that defining moment for you?
That was when I got into the accident, because I've never been in an accident before.
Mm.
That was my first accident ever.
Oh, wow.
And how old were you at this time, if you don't mind asking?
Oh, this was just,
how long you was driving?
I think I started that year, so that was 2019.
But you've been driving since 19 what?
Oh gosh, Lord, my daddy had me on his lap driving the truck with the where it had the stick shift there at the gear at the steering wheel.
Right.
So I was probably.
So you got about 30. You got about 35 years of driving experience. What you're saying?
Yes.
And in 35 years, you experienced your first accident.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. But then I had people in the car with me too, so that really made me open my eyes, because when have riders, then I have their lives in my hands too.
Mm-hmm.
I have to make sure that they're safe.
But I'm telling you, God know how to get your attention, don't you?
Yes. Yes.
You know how to get your attention.
Yes. And then it was even before that. I had gotten nails in the tire, so that was some signs right there. A lot of times, just with anything, we miss those signs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I say it all the time, V, and as you're talking about it, it's one of those things that when I was reading just your preface alone, I was like, wow. I was like, it's funny because I heard the very same statement almost in my own life, but God will take things that you're used to and things that you do often, and He will flip those things and grab your attention with them to get your attention. Because if you got in a wreck every other year, this wouldn't have been that big of a deal to you.
Right.
But he hit you. See, 35 years accidents, right? It really is. So on top of it being a good insurance rate, you're like, hold on, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So God will absolutely get your attention by things that not supposed to happen or not supposed to happen to you, which kind of takes me into a question. One of my favorite lines was when I was reading your mental the chapter on mental battles, and I wrote it down because I wanted to point it out, and then I wanted to ask you a question about it. It says battles are short-lived and possibly repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
They are resolved quicker. Wars last for a longer period and are more complex due to the issues not being resolved. Now, me being the soldier that I used to be, still think I am sometimes.
Yeah.
This resonated with me on so many levels. First of all, like when we look at history of warfare, there's always battles that we can look back that shaped the war, that changed the tide in wars, that were memorable and that were imperative for victory or defeat. If we look back into history, when what's the little short dude from France? Yeah, Napoleon Bonaparte. Mm-hmm. He outran his supply lines and he crossed the Rubicon River. And during that battle, that's where he lost it. That's where the French Empire began to decline. We look at World War II and we look at the Battle of the Bulge and foreign places like that. And this is where the Allied forces, Americans and the Brits, this is where they made a push to start winning the war. For you, how do you deal with those moments? Like you've absolutely you've won some battles, and I'm pretty sure the war is still going on because we're breathing, but you were able to isolate and identify this. So how is it? How do you find yourself performing, or what's your motivation to perform in any of these battles that you go through?
Well, I first had to take a look at myself and see everything that I was doing. I had to do some self-reflection and just name some things like, okay, well, what am I doing here? What can I do to improve? How's my relationship with God? Because everything starts with me. I know God instills talents and everything in us, and we have to look inside of us to bring that out and use what He's given us. But it was my relationship, definitely my relationship with God, once I started to self-reflect. And I know I was raised in the church, going to church, paying my tithes. My daddy taught me how to pay my tithes from my allowance. So I've been doing that for years. But just becoming an adult, I kind of strayed away because I used to go to church all the time. But it was still in me, and it didn't feel right not to do what I was used to doing, what I learned, growing up. And once I got back to that, it just felt like everything was smooth sailing, and I needed to have that relationship, that the conversations that I was telling you about. Because growing up, you're there in church, and you go there and see your friends and everything, and you understand some of the words and what's being taught and what's being preached, but you really don't know it until you become older. And because you've experienced things, I'm not saying you haven't experienced things growing up, but once you're an adult and on your own and paying your bills, then you understand it better. It resonates more,
right?
So that you can really apply it to your life. I hope
So,
I answered your question. Did I
No,
answer your question?
you absolutely did.
Okay.
And the military minded me quickly. I had to jot it down. You saw me writing something. It was because even though you're not using military terminology, you're using military jargon. You said I needed to do a self-evaluation, and every battle that you face, you got to know your logistics. You got to know what you have on hand, what you got coming in, and what you're missing. And basically, you were talking about doing an inventory, and I love it, because without that, you'll never sustain any type of war effort or anything else. You're gonna die in place. So
Right.
absolutely, shout out.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
Right. Because once you identify it, then you can, tell God, okay, God, can you help me with this? I need help with this.
Yeah. Specific. You got to be specific with your request.
Exactly.
A couple of comments over here for Periscope from Carlinda and E. Carlinda says, I have a habit of letting my past define me. However, it came to me that I need to write a new narrative. So that is very good. Right, the Bible says, write the vision, make it plain. Ephraim said, have you started back attending church? And what brought you back?
I did. It was knowing that I grew up in church. It was just, how things just linger. Well, I'm gonna tell you, I was going to church, and what got me was when my mama died. I didn't want to do nothing. My heart, it was like somebody took my heart, put it on the floor, and stomped it into a million pieces. Because I've never felt that pain ever in my life. And I felt myself going into depression. Now, after that, after she passed, I did go back to church maybe 2 or 3 times, but I felt myself slipping into depression, and I felt that I needed to bring myself out of it before I go into a full depression, because I'm a mother. My child is here. I know she's hurting too, because that was her grandma. That was her dog. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I got to get it together. And I'm like, I got to make things consistent again. But yes, I did. I started back going to church. I even put the Bible app on my phone. One of my friends was telling me about it. I forgot how long ago it was. It was because my mom died in 2016, but I forgot what year I put the Bible app on my phone. And I would, go on there here and there. But then now it's to where if I'm not reading a plan for a certain amount of days, then I have to go in there and find another one because I have about 25 right now saved so that I can read, so I can keep that going. Because I had to make it routine. Because if it's not routine, you know you're not going to do it.
Right.
And also, exactly. And also, I do Lent with my sister every year. So we do find out one thing that we want to give up, and then we read the scriptures. So we do that together every year.
You sound like you super close with your family, and that's important.
I am.
Like
my sister.
Like you just shouted your sister out, right? So
yeah, she's on here too.
Oh, shout out to little sister, big sister.
No, she's big sis. I'm the baby of all of them.
Oh, we babies together. Shout out, big sis. But in your book, well, before I say in your book, you just said that your daddy taught you how to tie, right?
Yes, he did.
And it got my attention because as I was reading your book, I remember something else you said. You said my daddy taught me to pray a long time ago.
Did.
So it sounds like your daddy was a real influence in your life. Can you shed some light on who he was to you?
He was military. He's ex-military. He was Air Force. He was in the Air Force for 20 years. But I didn't experience all of that because I wasn't around. I wasn't around yet. So I get to hear stories, from my sister and my brothers and stuff. But I just look back I didn't even notice it. Because my one of my ex-boyfriends, my daughter's father, he said, well, I could tell that your dad was military because you always make your bed. I mean, I was like, well, most people do that.
That's a good comparison. You make your bed. Like,
yeah.
And I bet your daddy would be thinking, what do you know what your bed look like?
Right. Yeah. But he would. It was at an early age when he would give me my allowance. My allowance was like $10 because I was very young, and he told me to pay my tithe. So I paid my $1 every Sunday, and if I had extra, I would put it up there, for my offering. So that's something else that he instilled in me at a young age. My daddy taught me how to pay bills.
Right.
He taught me how to write a check at an early age. And one thing my daddy always said was to smile and be nice to people. At that time, I didn't know what he was talking about. Now I know, because you don't know this person in passing on the street. You don't know what they're going through, if they have thought suicide or they just had a really bad day. Just your smile can brighten up their day.
For sure.
Yeah. And my dad could cook too now.
I remember he used to burn. So let me get into this, and before we go, and before we get into the "Come On Man" section of this show, in your book, you and your mother were extremely close. Like me and my mother were extremely close. When I read stories about people's mamas, they passing away, those are hard for me to read, right? Because I still miss my mom. My mom been gone since 2007. And, I still miss my mama. But you made a reference to your mother in, I think it was chapter 3 or 4. And you were taking a run one morning, and you saw a cardinal. And you made the connection because in the first book, I Cut My Hair, you signify what the cardinal meant. The red ones, or the cardinal meant as someone that you lost was close to you.
Right.
And the red ones were the males, I think it was, right? Mm-hmm. And then the reddish brown ones were your females. And you went on this run that morning, and you saw that reddish brown cardinal, and you knew that mom was close.
Yes. I immediately started crying.
You all right, Terry? You good, bro?
Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Hey, look. That happened to me just the other day. I was, and that was before I hadn't even read that part of your book. Mm-hmm. But I didn't know what it signified until I read that part of the book. Mm-hmm. So that let me know I still struggle with the loss of my mama. But it's
all right.
Yeah. But that was, you say that you immediately started crying in the previous book. You cut your hair. Do you still hear your mother? Like I still hear mine when I do something crazy or when I'm going through something. Can you still hear your mom say, "No, baby, don't do that"? Or do you still hear that?
She comes in my dreams when she knows that I need her. She comes in my dreams,
Yeah.
and I believe it was last week, like by my door and by the my desk. I
Yeah.
smelled her perfume. I know my
Mm,
sister said that she had smelled her perfume, but this was my first time smelling her perfume. There
mm,
was another time I actually smelled her breath because everybody has a scent,
mhm.
and I actually smelled her breath. I was just like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And
It's
and then about the Cardinals too. I have two other sisters.
mm,
One of my sisters gave me like a king and queen cardinal, like a
mm,
king cardinal and a queen cardinal. They have little crowns on their heads.
mhm.
So they're up there on my fireplace.
Wow.
Yeah.
That, that's amazing.
See, this right here. And look, people can take things out of context and be like, people read too much into anything, and they have things to say. But let me say this: it's moments like this where and this is where it makes sense. When David had the thought in Psalms where he says, "Who is man that you come and see about me?"
Mhm.
Hmm.
This is how I know that God cares, because in the middle of the moment that you need holding the most, it's like, I got the perfect thing for you. This right here is going to comfort you. And he knows that. So for anybody who may be listening or be like, well, that's a little out there. Look, I'm telling you, God works in a way that will turn your conventional wisdom and what you think is right. And it makes sense to the person he's doing it for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So let me say this before we get into our last segment. I want to thank Vee for coming through here today because Vee could do anything else, but she came and sat with us today. So listen, you guys, for real, go get this book, Still Here. Go to Amazon.com, do a search for Still Here, Hear. I don't know why I have to keep spelling it, but that's what it is, Hear, here. All right, do a search, $8 for the hard copy, and then I think you can get the ebook for free, but get it.
$4.99. And if you got the Kindle plan, where you pay monthly, you can read all of the
Oh,
book
right.
sales. So yeah, either way it go. If
Jump on
you're an
that.
author, I'm challenging authors. If
Yeah,
you want to write a book, if
do
you've
it.
written a book and you wonder why your book may not be doing well or whatever the case may be, if you're an author and you wanna pop and you want God to use you as a mouthpiece in this season, I'm
Right,
telling you, invest in other people that's riding the same lane.
exactly.
There's plenty to go around,
Do
because
that.
her story isn't my story, isn't your story, but they're all relevant.
Right.
Right.
Everybody has a story.
Right.
All right. So we're gonna get into my the newest segment of this podcast.
Come on,
All
man.
right. So we're gonna get into don't judge me. All right. So and I could have, the episode got kind of heavy, so I want to kind of lighten the mood here if I could. We've had some crazy stuff happen in this country over the last year and a half with COVID and all the good stuff right here. And a lot of people have lost their lives and people just doing stupid stuff. But I want to talk about this young man right here because I don't know what he's thinking about. But I want to get you guys' opinion on this right here. All right. So if you guys can see this,
I know that face.
this
He
is
from
Lil.
Atlanta.
This is the rapper Lil
Yeah,
Uzi Vert.
Uzi Vert. Yeah.
This dude decided to go and get a $24 million diamond and plant it into his forehead. Now, the picture on the left is little Uzi Vert with the diamond in his head. The picture on the right, if you watch the Avengers, that's Thanos. And that's Vision that he's holding, and he's trying to get the Infinity Stone from his forehead. The caption reads, "This is how I'm gonna pull up on Lil Uzi when he gets that diamond in his forehead." Now, I'm just curious for the people in here that's watching and my panel. What are your thoughts?
I hope his family got him insured.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I don't.
I mean, I ain't from the hood,
What's up,
but
Federa? What's
but
up,
what
White?
I do know about where I'm from is when you post stuff like that, that's like, hey, I got it, come get it. Cause that's what somebody thinking. Somebody, look, that's why that meme came out, because somebody gonna get
I
it.
don't get it, man. I don't understand. I mean,
You better not get caught lacking out in the backwoods of Georgia is all I'm gonna say.
that's all I'm gonna say. And I just want to pray for little Uzi Vert right now, and little Uzi, we're praying for your brother, because whatever you struggling with, Playboy, it's coming out. It's crazy to me, but
His teeth are gorgeous.
that's
Though.
good.
I was looking at, I
Yeah,
was
he
like,
paid for
no cap, but I was like, brother got a nice smile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's beautiful.
I mean, you pay if you could pay $24 million for a diamond, I'm sure he can get his teeth fit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now if he didn't, I would have something to say.
I don't know, Richard. I don't know what he was thinking, man. Richard said, "What he thinking?" And Cherry said, "It's sure pointless. It's a symbolic for having money and using it because you can. But $24 million, man, and we got people on these streets homeless.
Look, what if you look? Can I be real with you for a second?
Yeah.
Let's look at young Uzi right here. Let's look at young Uzi. You can see his eyes. He's Blaze. If you don't know what Blaze mean, he's hiding a kite. He's hiding a giraffe's butt right now. So what happened when he smoked some good gas and forget where he was last night? And he wake up in his diamond home.
Man.
Like, what's gonna happen then? Like, you can't kill it. I mean, wow.
That boy.
$24 million in my head. I'd rather keep the ideas to be the $1 million ideas.
Oh, he finna get got though. But here's my question. Now, those of us that are Avengers fans, everybody knows that when Thanos pulled that Infinity Stone out of Vision's head, Vision passed away, right? So I'm wondering if somebody plucks that diamond out of Uzi's forehead, is he gonna pass away too?
That's the $24 million loss. He might just pass away.
Yeah,
this is true. Money. So, Mr. Lil Uzi Vert, on behalf of the folks here at the KCP podcast, my brother. Man, we praying for you, brother. But so I want to thank everybody that came through and listened to the podcast today. Make sure that if you don't follow the podcast, please do subscribe on all podcasting platforms. Again, you can catch us on the radio on Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, I want to thank Dwayne for coming through today, and especially our guest, Ms. Vee Bennett. And yes, V is short. V is short. Wait. I think it works now. Maybe not. But anyway.
I got you.
You got it. Okay, there we go. All right. So we're going to get out of here. You guys have a great rest of your day, man. Enjoy the game. Go Bucks. You guys have a great one.
Did you just say that?
Mm-hmm.
Tom Brady finna get his